You know, when you think of a predator, a plant is probably not the first thing that comes to mind. But today, we're diving into a world that honestly feels like science fiction. We're talking about plants that hunt.
Just take a look at this. This is a sundew. And those beautiful, sparkling droplets you see, that's not morning dew. Nope. That's a sweet, incredibly sticky glue designed to lure in and trap any poor insect that stops for a visit. It's a perfect reminder that in nature, beauty and danger can be the exact same thing.
Which of course brings us to the big question. How in the world can a plant hunt? I mean, they're stuck in the ground, they can't chase, they can't pounce. So how did some of them develop this incredible ability to become predators?
Well, to answer that, we first have to understand the problem these plants are trying to solve. And it all comes down to where they live and a desperate need for a few key ingredients to survive.
So, what exactly is a carnivorous plant? It's really important to know they aren't monsters. They don't hunt for energy the way animals do. They're still plants. They get all their energy from the sun through photosynthesis. Becoming a carnivore is just their highly specialized way of getting extra nutrients.
And here's why they need those extra nutrients. They usually live in places like bogs, where the soil gets washed out all the time, leaving it really poor in minerals like nitrogen and phosphorus. So these plants came up with this ingenious workaround. If you can't get your nutrients from the soil, get them from somewhere else, like, say, all the insects and other small animals buzzing around you.
And the ways they figured out how to do it are just truly incredible. Let's start with some of the more passive but brilliantly clever trapping strategies.
First up, you've got the classic pitfall trap. The concept couldn't be simpler. Create a hole that's easy to get into, but impossible to get out of. And the masters of this are the pitcher plants.
Here's how their method works. The plant's leaves are shaped into a pitcher, and it's filled with digestive fluids. An insect is drawn in by some sweet nectar right on the rim, but that surface is incredibly slippery. It loses its footing, tumbles in, and these downward-pointing hairs lining the pitcher make absolutely sure there's no climbing back out.
Now, a snare trap takes this idea and adds a little twist. Instead of just a simple pit, it creates a one-way maze that forces prey deeper and deeper into the plant. A fascinating example of this is the corkscrew plant. And get this, its traps are underground, forming a little spiral maze. Tiny organisms in the soil enter, and special hairs guide them along a one-way path straight to the plant's digestive center.
Okay, so we've seen pits and mazes. What's another way to trap your dinner? Well, just get sticky. This is the flypaper method, perfected by plants like that sundew we saw earlier. But one particular sundew has taken this to a whole new level.
Let me introduce you to the Pimpernel sundew. It doesn't just use glue, no. It combines two completely different trapping mechanisms into one incredibly sophisticated and lightning-fast attack.
It's this incredible two-step process. First, the outer tentacles act like tiny catapults. When an insect touches one, it snaps forward, flinging the prey onto the leaf in just 75 milliseconds. Then, the inner, sticky tentacles grab the stunned bug and, like a conveyor belt, slowly drag it to the center of the leaf to be digested.
And you can see the different designs that work right here. On the left, that's one of the catapulting snap tentacles. Its stalk is flattened, which allows it to bend in one direction with incredible speed. Now compare that to the regular glue tentacles on the right, which are more cylindrical and designed for slower movements to secure the meal.
So we've gone from passive pits to catapults, but now we get to the really famous ones, the traps that rely on pure, unadulterated speed.
This is the true genius of the Venus flytrap. It's not just fast, it's smart. To avoid wasting energy by closing on a raindrop or a piece of dirt, it requires two separate touches to its trigger hairs in quick succession. It's a simple little counting mechanism that saves the plant a ton of energy.
And when those conditions are met, snap! The trap slams shut in about 1/10 of a second. That's fast enough to catch a fly mid-step. It's one of the most famous rapid movements in the entire plant kingdom.
But believe it or not, it's not the fastest. That title belongs to an aquatic plant called the bladderwort. It doesn't snap, it sucks. The plant pumps water out of these tiny bladders, creating a vacuum inside. When a small creature touches the trigger hairs on the trapdoor,
The door opens, and the prey is sucked inside with the rushing water in as little as 10 milliseconds. That is just astonishingly fast. You could blink and you'd miss it about 10 times over.
So the trap has sprung. The prey is caught. What happens next? How does a plant actually, eat?
well, they do this in two main ways. The first is to create an enzyme stew. The plant itself secretes powerful digestive enzymes to dissolve the prey's soft tissues into a liquid meal. But some plants take a different approach. They use bacterial helpers. They host entire colonies of bacteria inside their traps, and these tiny partners do the digestive work for them. It's an amazing partnership, and it's strikingly similar to how our own gut bacteria help us digest food.
So after the plant absorbs all those liquid nutrients, you might be wondering, what happens to the leftovers? Well, unlike animals, they don't really, defecate. The hard, undigestible parts, like an insect's tough exoskeleton, are simply left behind inside the trap. Eventually, the trap might reopen, and the rain or wind just washes the remnants away, cleaning the slate for the next meal.
What's so amazing is that all of these plants face the exact same problem, a lack of nutrients. But they developed such an incredible diversity of solutions. We've seen simple pits, complex mazes, sticky flypaper, catapults, and even vacuum-powered traps.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? The Pimpernel Sundew's catapult was only understood in detail very recently. What other astonishing abilities are these quiet, unassuming plants hiding, just waiting for us to notice?